The haunting of Blackwood Manor. Sarah had always been drawn to old, abandoned places. As a photographer, she found beauty in the decay and the stories hidden within the walls of forgotten buildings. So, when she heard about Blackwood Manor, a long-abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town, she couldn't resist exploring it. The locals whispered tales of the manor being haunted, claiming that strange noises and ghostly apparitions plagued the place. But Sarah didn't believe in ghosts. She grabbed her camera, packed a bag with some supplies, and set out for Blackwood Manor just as the sun began to set. The mansion loomed in front of her, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. As she stepped inside, the air grew colder, and a sense of unease washed over her. The floorboards creaked under her weight, and the dim light from her flashlight barely pierced the darkness. Sarah wandered through the decaying rooms, snapping photos of the eerie scenes. Each click of the shutter echoed through the empty halls. She reached a grand staircase and decided to explore the upper floors. As she ascended, she heard faint whispers, like the murmur of a distant conversation. Reaching the second floor, she followed the sound to a door at the end of the hallway. Her hand trembled as she turned the knob and pushed the door open. Inside, the room was untouched by time, filled with antique furniture and dusty relics. But what caught her eye was a large, ornate mirror hanging on the wall. Drawn to it, she approached the mirror and raised her camera. Just as she pressed the button, she saw a figure standing behind her in the reflection. Heart pounding, she spun around, but the room was empty. She turned back to the mirror, and the figure was gone. A sense of dread settled over her, but she was determined to capture the perfect shot. She raised her camera again, and this time, the figure appeared clearer. It was a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and her mouth twisted in a silent scream. Sarah's breath quickened as the temperature in the room plummeted. The woman's hand reached out from the mirror, beckoning her. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and the whispers grew louder, more frantic. Sarah backed away, but the woman's grip tightened, pulling her closer. Panicking, Sarah dropped her camera and tried to break free, but the woman's strength was inhuman. She felt herself being pulled into the mirror, her body stretching and distorting as she was drawn into the cold, glassy surface. With one last desperate scream, Sarah was swallowed by the mirror, leaving only her camera behind. The whispers faded, and the room returned to its eerie silence. The mirror now held a new figure, Sarah's face, frozen in terror, her eyes pleading for release. Years later, the legend of Blackwood Manor continued to grow. Visitors claimed to hear faint whispers and see ghostly figures in the windows. And on moonlit nights, if you dared to look into the mirror, you might see Sarah, still trapped, still waiting for someone to set her free.